dirt storms. We had dust storms. They were crazy. They locked you inside. You couldn't leave your apartment because you couldn't see anything. And dust and dirt would come in through the cracks, and it was crazy. One time when I was driving from Brownwood to San Angelo for a mission conference or something, an animal jumped out on the highway in front of me. And the highways there are like 90-mile-per-hour highways. And it bounced off the front, bounced off the side, and then we were gone. And I think that's the only wildlife I had, but it was really scary. And my companion fed me Reese's cups as we drove to calm me down because it was so scary. We were going to a woman's house. She'd asked us to come over. And as soon as we stepped through the doorway, I looked over at one of my companions and we both just were, we have to leave. And our senior companion was just trucking forward, and we were like, how are you not feeling this? And the lady asked us to come sit down. All of her furniture and everything was covered in plastic. And we're like, did you just move? No. Okay. And she put on plastic gloves and kept trying to feed us things. And we're like, no, we're okay. And I was just sitting there and I had no idea how to get out of this situation because it was a brand new companionship and I was trying really hard not to step on anyone's toes. And I just had this feeling and I was like, we have to leave. If you don't get out of here, if there's not dead bodies in the back room, there's going to be soon. And finally, the other companion who I could tell was noticing it too just goes, well, we have to go. Can we say a prayer with you real quick? And both of us just crossed our arms and did not close our eyes while the prayer was being said. We just kept looking between the back room and the lady, and the back room and the lady. And we were just like, we have to go. We have to go. We will die if we stay here. We left, and our other companion was really mad at us until we explained to her what was happening. And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. We had to go get blessings. We were so shaken up. It was so scary. I think I learned how to trust myself. I didn't do that before. Trust myself in conjunction with the Lord. I wasn't very good at trusting that a prompting was a prompting or anything like that. And I'm still not 100%. I don't think anyone's 100% at that. But I'm better at feeling like, okay, if this is a prompting, then I need to move forward. If it's not a prompting, it's not going to hurt to move forward. And realizing that I do have the ability to be in tune with the Lord. I think that was a really big lesson for me. One of the main ones that comes to mind, we had been teaching and visiting this less active guy in the ward in Midland. And things had been going really well, and then we went to go visit him one day, and he told us that he was done. He wasn't going to meet with us anymore. He didn't want to come back to church. That he had been holding on to this anger from boys in a former ward who had hurt his daughter. And he couldn't let it go, and he didn't want to be associated with that anymore. And all of us, we could just tell, we were just heartbroken. And I felt so strongly that I needed to share. My dad had been not a great guy, and a lot of my ward growing up had loved him a lot. And so growing up, that had been really hard for me, and been one of the main reasons that I didn't go to church, was because I couldn't make the connection, like he couldn't make the connection of why these people who had done these horrible things were so loved in a ward that was supposed to be a family. And I had never forgiven my dad before that moment, and in that moment it was just like, yeah, but I forgive him. And I had never realized until that moment that I had forgiven him. And the look on the man's face was just like, wait, what? And he asked me when I forgave him. I said, honestly, just now. Right now, as you were talking, that's when I forgave him. And he kept talking to us. He didn't completely write us off. He never really came back to church as far as I know. But it was a powerful experience for me of realizing that we can't let anger and other people's actions define our gospel paths and our growth. We walked away and my companions knew about everything that had happened. How did that happen? When did that happen? I'm like, I don't even know. I don't even know. It just happened. I don't know how it happened, but it just happened. And from that point on, I didn't have like that anger anymore. It was just gone. And I've been praying about it forever, ever since I had figured out that the church was true and all of that. I've been praying to get rid of that. And it finally happened. So that was good. It was a woman that I met my first week on my mission. We walked past her sitting on the steps outside of her apartment, and she was smoking. And she told us that we could come talk to her, but she would never join our church. And we kept going to see her. And for the very long time, the like 7, 8 months that I was in Midland, we visited her at least once a week. And it took until the very end of the time that I was there for her to want us to teach her any lessons. We would go when we were passing through, and we would share thoughts with her or impressions, and we would figure out what she needed. We would help her out. And every single district meeting, our district leaders or our zone leaders would tell us, you can't keep going to visit her. She's not progressing. Stop going to visit her. And every week when we prayed about it, we always felt like we needed to keep going to visit her. And so we did anyway. And we told them, we were like, you know what, it's our area. We can pray about our area. It's our area. And we feel like we need to stay with her. We need to stick with her. We need to keep visiting her. We love her and we care about her. And maybe it is a waste of time. Maybe she'll never join the church, but we feel like we still need to see her. She needs us. We need her. And we're not going to stop. And she got baptized right after I went home. I was actually talking to her this morning, and she's doing so great. It just took her time to want the actual lessons, to have someone sit down and talk to her about the gospel. And she told us that she knew she needed to do it before she finally told us that she did, but she was afraid and she was nervous and she didn't really know what it entailed. But that our constant love for her was what brought her to that point. And she's one of the strongest, most incredible women I've ever met in my entire life. And I love her so much. I would move to Midland just to be next to her. And it was a big testimony builder for me, that we need to listen to the Lord more than we need to listen to the people around us, because all of the people around us were telling us to give up. And even when my companions changed, all of us always continued to get the same impression that we needed to not give up on her. And I've never been happier that I didn't.